Hello?
Hi.
Hi. My name is Elias. You know you're having the consultation with me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure because I know the names were off a little bit for the meeting. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew what was going on. And then before we get started, we do record all of our consultations. That was all in the form and everything, but just letting you know ahead of time as well.
Okay.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about kind of what you're looking for with Benson.
Yeah. So Benson, this is probably me and my boyfriend together. This is the first dog that we've gotten together. With smaller dogs like Chihuahuas and like small terriers. With him, this is like both of our first big dog. And we're definitely looking for some training. He's done training in the past. We took him to training from like about 3 months to like 6 months.
Mhm.
But the thing was that we loved the trainer. He was located in Indiana though, so it was like our commute there. He would train for an hour, and then it was an hour back. So
Yeah.
it was just becoming a lot. He also only trains outside, so when just we or no couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
But on top of it, it was like now we could go back to him, but it's kind of making us like resent goings, and I don't want to send my dog to training just because I drive an hour. So we want to look at a place closer. Um, my friend Sandrine, she takes her dog here, and she referred me, and she said
Okay.
that she likes your facility and everything, and that everybody was really nice. So what I'm looking to do now is put Benson back in training. He's been about 3 months without, or four,
Okay.
4 months with 4 or 5 almost. Geez, actually, he's gonna be. Well, if we go all of May, that'll be the 5th month.
Okay.
Um, he's gonna be 10 on May 19th.
Okay.
So 9 months right now. I would say he has a good, like he's completely potty trained. He will not go anywhere in the house crate. We feed him in his crate trained, so like he doesn't cry in the crates. He knows that he likes the crates. Um, we're having a little bit of trouble with leash training. He was doing really good. We use a pain collar, and he's kind of starting to like regress. I think like I don't know if it just doesn't like hurt him anymore or if he's grown like more tolerant to it, but like he is starting to pull again.
Yeah.
Um, I noticed that like he does this trick because if I keep it around the place it's supposed to go, like right under his neck,
Yeah.
he listens more, but he does this trick where he wags it and it wiggles down.
Oh, okay.
So he's able to pull me more because it doesn't really hurt him right here. So he does, and then he pulls me. So we're trying to figure out that. Another thing that he's a jumper.
Yeah.
He's not aggressive at all. He's actually so sweet, very excited. He loves people and he loves other dogs. But he's excited and he jumps and he almost like people get kind of scared because he's like snapping at the face, but he would never, like he's just climbing them and like trying to like open his
Malady. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you're trying to work on with him, or any issues you're having other than that?
So barking, we keep him in like, here, I'll actually just show you. We have like a gate right here that separates like kitchen and stuff like that, and then we have
Oh, there
That's
you
the living room, and then he's sleeping right now. And yeah, this is kind of just like his whole area.
Okay.
But sometimes when he's really like if he gets bored, or if he wants to go in a room that, like, if I'm in the kitchen, he wants to come in the kitchen, he will bark nonstop. Or if
Okay.
we're sitting on the couch over there, he will bark nonstop.
Okay.
I did just order one of the electric collars.
Okay. Do you know which one you ordered?
Yeah, I got it on Amazon. I can send you the link to it in a chat right here on Zoom. We haven't ever tried it because he was pretty young, and I didn't want to, like, I kind of wanted to wait till he was like 9 months, a year almost. I don't know if that's right.
No,
Or
that's
if you,
correct. Yeah.
okay.
Because sometimes when people try to do e-collar with their puppies too young and they're not as experienced with it as like a full-on e-collar trainer might be,
Right.
they will run into a lot of issues because there's a lot more nuance when you're doing that kind of pressure work with puppies, because they're not at the mental ability to understand those concepts yet.
That makes sense.
So it's best that you kind of waited till he was out of his like puppy phase.
Yeah, and I did want to talk to someone first before I put it on him. Because I don't want to hurt him at all.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so I just sent the link of the collar I purchased to you.
Okay. I don't know too much about this brand specifically. By the end of the session, so we normally, and I'll go over this more at the end when kind of get to the recommendations for collars and everything. We like to stick with Dogtra. So that's just more of a professional brand. It's a little bit more expensive, but we find that through the training and everything, it's more smooth for the dog. It allows us to get what we want done, and some of the cheaper collars can be a little sharper. So it's not necessarily that they're higher power, but the power is not like the smooth consistency of like a more higher end collar, like a Dogtra one.
Yeah.
So that's like the brand that we stick with here. That's just what we found works best for everybody. And that's what Jesse has been using throughout his whole career pretty much.
Okay, I just found their website. Nice.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of different ones. So, like, would I get a bark one or a remote trainer? Maybe that's what I recommend. Like,
it would depend based on kind of what we're trying to achieve for Benson and everything like that. Right off the bat, I'm already thinking that he might need to be on one of the stronger collars just because of his breed. Since he is a Doberman, a larger dog, we would recommend that all those kinds of more intense breeds have the highest end e collar, which is the 1900S Black Edition. I believe that Dogtra is on back order with those right now, so that may not be able to happen. But depending on the dog for now, they have collars that are a little bit under that are still really good. That way we can make the training still happen, especially if he doesn't have more of the intense issues. Like for our clients that have like aggression issues or like high anxiety issues, then it might be one of the cases where we need to have this collar to be able to make the training happen. But for a dog like Benson, I think that we could try something a little bit less powerful, just because even though he is a larger breed, the issues that you've been telling me so far aren't so extreme to where they're like deep behavioral issues. It's more just like general obedience. So we can probably get away with like one of the collars that are like just under the Black Edition.
okay.
And then through the training, if there's ever any issues or we find that we're at the higher levels of the collar that we recommend to you, we can always work it out to where we can try and get a Black Edition, because right now we're trying to figure that out for our other clients as well.
Okay.
It's not like it can't be changed around or anything like that. but from already what I'm hearing, I don't think it'll be super necessary to start with because we may just be able to fix everything with one of the lower power collars.
Cool.
Um, but other than that, is that all the issues that you kind of want to address with the training?
Yeah. Barking, the jumping, the leash.
Okay, so leash pulling, jumping, and barking.
Yeah, those are things. Other than that, he's really good. There was one other thing I forgot to mention. I lost my train of thought, so you can continue to go. Maybe I'll remember.
Yeah. If you think of anything else that you want to add, just feel free to cut in.
Oh, his paw.
Mhm.
He's a little sensitive about us touching them.
Okay.
So his nails, that's been like a huge problem for us.
Okay.
Like they're a little long right now. And to the groomer Saturday, hoping she can try to get them down a bit, but he's gotten better because when I started taking him to groom, suggested I like play with his feet.
Mhm.
Like I've been doing that. He has gotten better, but in general, I would say he still does not like it. I try to wipe his feet like from coming outside. I have to keep his collar on while I do it because he'll freak out.
Yeah.
Um, in the winter when I put boots on him, he would not move. He would stay too,
Mhm.
and the mon was insane.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, he just freaks out.
Okay. What does he try and do like when you touch his paws? Like what's his first like reaction?
He pulls it away, and then if I keep grabbing it, he will like try to bite me. But he's not like, it's weird because when he does these where he tries to bite me like for with that, he doesn't ever bite me hard. He kind of just puts his mouth
Okay.
like holds it there, trying to tell me like stop, or
Mhm.
he doesn't like it.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably a little bit more like insecurities with you touching his paw. And I wouldn't say that that's necessarily like aggression or anything because if he wanted to bite you, he would bite you, you know. He's
Right, exactly.
yeah. Um
But he
so,
doesn't.
mhm. That's something that we can keep in mind. Does he get like that with like any other touching or just the paws?
Just the paws. I touch his face. I kiss him all the time. His face, his body. Yeah, like I just his paws.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that might just be a more of like a touch sensitivity thing, and that can be kind of worked with the e-collar as well. That would be more of a behavioral thing. So
Mm.
that's something where as we get into the programs, towards the end of it, where like I'm recommending kind of what maybe would work best for you. That's where maybe more like in-person stuff would need to come in
Yeah,
because sometimes dogs with the behavioral issues like that, even though it's a smaller thing, they may be completely different with us. So that's something where you would kind of have to be there to learn how to handle like everything with your dog. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
totally.
Um, okay. So we have that, the jumping, and then the barking and leash pulling. So for the leash pulling and the barking and jumping and all that, that's all obedience. So that is not like a huge thing. When he's leash pulling, is he like pulling for a specific reason or just pulling ahead of you?
It'll be a little bit both. When he sometimes he'll pull because he wants to like go in the grass or like go like he's exploring and he is not listening to me.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes like actually no, I wouldn't say he ever just walks in front of me just to do it. It's usually because he sees another dog, he wants to go in the grass, he gets excited, like
Mhm.
it he's not paying attention and it's not like
Yeah. Okay. Um, so to kind of fix that, that's where one of our like basic commands that we teach, heel would come in. So for heel, our heel is very, very structured. There's a lot of rules to it. Just because we want to keep the dog like very focused on this command. So that way a lot of the other issues while walking are going to disappear kind of without having to address each one because he's going to be so focused on heel. So with our heel, we keep the dog with their right shoulder in line with our left leg the whole time. They're supposed to walk with us, stay with us, and then when we stop, they'll go into an automatic sit every time. So that's going to be a lot of work for Benson to try and focus on that and then still do all the pulling. He's going to be so focused on heel that there's no other options around him kind of. So that also ends up fixing sometimes some excitement in the home too, because now the walks are not only a physical exercise, but they're like a very intense mental exercise because Benson has to keep worrying about, okay, I'm going to keep my shoulder in line with the leg. We're stopping. I'm going to sit. I have to stay in the sit. We're walking again, focusing on this now. So once we teach heel, we find that a lot of the other kind of minor behavior stuff ends up clearing up a lot because they don't have that option to be focused on those things anymore.
That makes sense.
And then that will also help with the jumping because let's say you're on a walk with Benson, he's in heel, and somebody's going to approach you. He should not be breaking heel to go say hi to them or anything as far as like jumping, anything like that. That's something that we would address with the e-collar then because you're still in heel. Not to say anybody can't come up and pet him or he can't receive praise or get excited or anything, but he still just needs to follow the rules of heel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll help with any like introductory stuff, like when you're on a walk or anything like that, because now we have something to correct for, and now he has rules that he needs to follow. And then for the prong collar, you're on the right track with that, and we can still use prong collar with heel. The issue with prong collar right now, kind of what you're having, is that the prong collar is not strong enough with just like your strength alone. Yeah, and that's a common thing, especially for a larger breed like a Doberman, any of the power breeds like German Shepherds, Pit Bulls, anything like that. Owners will be doing prong collar, but then the dog's going to override the prong collar because you're just not strong enough to create that amount of pressure for them.
Yeah.
So dogs are very physically, they're very, very physical animals. So they can't speak, they don't have language like you and I, obviously. So everything that is being communicated to them is through physicality. So for example, there's a video that we like to show clients a lot just to illustrate it. It's a very good video to show like kind of what we're talking about. There's a cream retriever and she's in like a playpen with all of her puppies and all the puppies are going crazy. They're all over her. Then she finally snaps at one and does a correction bite, and then all the other puppies calm down. So they're learning from a very young age that this bite, this physicality, this correction means cut it out, don't do this. That's how they're getting told no. So when we're using the prong collar, it's the same thing because the prong collar is trying to mimic a dog bite. So the only ceiling with the prong collar is just that it's based on your strength. So like a 10 out of 10 correction for me may be stronger or weaker than a 10 like for you. So that way now he's getting inconsistent corrections. With the e-collar, it's the same correction every time. So if we're changing the level and I have the e-collar on 25, that's still 25 for you. That's still 25 for any of your family members. It's all the same correction. So it makes it a lot easier to address things because he should act the same way with everybody now. And then specifically for the prong collars, with the Dogtra ones that we use, there's 127 levels. So we have all these extra levels in between to be able to find exactly what's going to work for the dog. Whereas some other collars that are maybe a little bit cheaper or just different brands, they may only go like 1 to 10. But that doesn't mean that it's weaker or stronger. Their 10 maybe are 127.
Yeah.
You don't have the nuance in between. So then let's say we were at an 8 on Benson on like this cheaper collar, and Benson's yelping and he's freaking out. So the number's too high. Then we drop it down to 7, and now the collar's not doing anything for him. So with ours, with the 127 levels, we can go to 25, 26, 27, every
Yeah.
little number in between. So it makes it a lot easier to find what's going to work for him.
Yeah, you can.
Hmm?
It's like you can really cut.
Yeah. Because sometimes dogs will be like in the in-between numbers and it's just right for them. So that way we're not going to have any issues of, oh, now we need to get a different collar because this collar is just not doing the right thing within the numbers. And then in addition to that, 127 on the collar is still never going to get to the same intensity as like an actual dog bite, but it's just doing its best to mimic that. And with the e-collar, we now have the ability to do a correction from a distance. So that's where we get the more off-leash control and everything like that. Whereas with the prong collar, another limitation is just that you always have to have that leash on. You always have to have them in your hand. With the e-collar, Benson can be over on the other side of a field and you still have the same correction able to happen. So
Exactly.
it's kind of the differences and the benefits, but you can still use the prong collar. Especially for a larger dog like him, we would recommend it actually, just so that way you have that immediate control. Like, let's say you're on a walk and he's doing heel with you, it's going good. And then maybe a person or a dog comes by and something occurs where maybe their dog isn't social and tries to snap at Benson, or maybe Benson just gets too out of hand trying to say hi. You have immediate hand pull with the prong collar, whereas you don't have to maybe mess with the number on the e-collar if it's just you're just going around a corner and then something happens like quick.
Yeah.
So using both is completely fine. And then how you said the prong collar was sliding down, the e-collar actually kind of indirectly will help with that too, because the way that we would set it up on his neck is prong collar highest up, because like you said, that's the best position where he's going to listen the most, and then e-collar under it. So the e-collar will help it kind of stay in place as well.
Yeah, that's nice.
Any questions with that so far?
No, that all makes sense.
Yeah. So that is for like the heel and everything like that with the collar. For the barking, the e-collar will also be able to address that because that's a little bit more of a behavior thing. Some owners like to have a little bit of barking for security reasons, but yeah, okay. So for that, the way that we would kind of address that is we would tie it to a word rather than just straight out like correcting it. Because if we wanted to completely get rid of it, we would just correct it with the e-collar each time it happened. No words needed, because that's just something you don't want to happen. So you don't need to tie any words to it. If you're just trying to have him stop at certain times when you're like, all right, I don't want this right now. Not to say you can't do it again, but just right now, I don't want it. Then that's where we would tie in some type of command. Like some people would just use the word no. We do like verbal corrections here, like when we do the shh and all that. Anything like that to make a word for it basically. And then correcting with the e-collar if he's not listening with the verbal. So that way now you can turn it off with the verbal and then reinforce with the e-collar, but it's not going to completely stop him from barking.
Yeah, that's what I am looking for.
Yeah. So that's something that could be handled as well. For the barking specifically though, regardless of what program you end up going with, that will either be, if you do like in person, that will be an in-home session, or if you end up doing a like a board and train or daycare and train program, you get hours you get to use for follow-up lessons after that, and then you can also make one of those hours like a follow-up session in the home to be able to address that more directly. So either way, whatever you go with, that can be addressed. It's just going to be a little bit different from the training that would like occur here.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Any questions with that so far?
So I'm assuming basically like like when I get this collar, I could maybe try like myself starting, or do you suggest me to do a session first before I like put it on him?
We would recommend that you wait until you get some instruction.
Oh,
So, for example, if you were to do the in person, we would want you to wait till after your first lesson, uh,
okay,
just so that way we can set a basis and a good understanding of how the e-collar is going to be used, and then you're kind of free to practice with it after that. Um,
okay.
and then same thing for if you're going to do something like daycare and train or board and train, you get videos with those. So I would wait until you get like the first week video so that
Mm-hmm,
you can see how we did all the training with him, how he's handling the e-collar, maybe what's working for him and what's not. And then
mm-hmm.
you can watch that video and then feel free to practice as you wish at home. So
Great.
just at least that first like introductory either video or lesson, just so that way you're able to um, do the training exactly as we're doing it with him, so that way everything stays consistent for him. There's no confusion.
Yeah, okay. That's
Mhm.
perfect. I figured that. Board and train or daycare, that is definitely something I'm interested to.
Mhm.
My boyfriend like travels, they work and sometimes, so there could be like during the day a daycare session or boarding is something that we not like right now, but is something we'll definitely need, especially summer.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we're interested in all of it.
Okay. Um, I can definitely go over that. I will real quick go through a little bit more e-collar stuff just to kind of clear all that out of the way. And then we can talk about kind of maybe what program is going to work best for him and your options with that.
Cool.
Um, what was I going to say? For the e-collar, another common question that owners tend to have uh, when they're starting up with the e-collar is they kind of assume that the dog has to have it on 24/7 all the time. What we always recommend is just on when you need it. So we always recommend that when going out with Benson, you should put it on just because you're going to be outside. You never know what could happen.
Mhm.
Um, Other people with dogs, other things like fireworks, car accidents, any emergency situation, just to be able to have that recall with the e-collar.
Mhm.
And then in home, just as you need it. So maybe you notice Benson in the morning is having some issues with the barking. You put it on him, address the barking, and then as you start to use it, you start to see that he's quiet throughout the rest of the day. So then you can go ahead and take it off because you're not needing to reinforce anything there. Uh,
Yeah.
and then let's say for the jumping specifically, you're going to have guests come over. And does Benson like to go to the door and try and like greet everybody? Yeah.
Yes.
Um, we would recommend putting the collar on him 30 minutes before you're going to have anybody come over, and then addressing whatever needs to be addressed either in that time and when people end up coming to the door as well. So that way you're not worried about trying to get the e-collar on him and figure everything out in the moment. He's going to have that time beforehand where you can settle him with the e-collar and then address anything that needs to be addressed as they're coming in as well.
Yeah.
30 minutes ahead of time is also good for him to not start developing a pattern where he's thinking, oh, as soon as guests come over, I get the collar on now.
Mhm.
This way, he's not really viewing it as like the collar on and off is happening. He's just kind of taking that 30 minutes to forget that the collar's kind of there. And then by the
Mhm.
time it's happening, you're able to address it. And he's not thinking, this is just the collar. Once the collar's off, I'm going to do whatever I want again.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, when the collar's off, he's going to start over the course of the training, start to understand like, oh, the collar's on. I got to listen really well now. The collar's off. Maybe I can get away with some extra things. That's just going to happen because dogs are opportunistic, just like us. You know, if you're on the highway and there's not like any cops around, you're probably going to go a little bit over the speed limit. But as
Right.
soon as you see a squad car or something, you're going to slow down. That's just the way it is. So it's the same thing for them. When the collar's on, they're going to start taking things maybe a little bit more seriously. And then when it's off, they're going to understand like, maybe I can try a few things here. Um, we'll give you resources on how to address Benson even when the collar's off, just to develop that kind of disciplinary presence. Because sometimes owners will get stuck in a position where they're only using the e-collar and they have no like presence with the dog as like an authoritative figure. And
Hmm.
then as soon as the collar's off, the dog's like just not caring about them anymore. So we have
Right.
different things to do as far as like physical corrections. I don't know if you've ever heard of a bonker. Um, it's just what we use is a rolled up towel, and then you just kind of bonk the dog on the head with it. And it's soft, but it's that physical presence that they're seeing the confrontation there. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to settle down. Like you just confronted me, you addressed me.
Yeah.
So you'll get resources on all that as well too. We have videos that we send to the clients once they're in their training program and everything. Um, and then I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but any questions with any of that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Um, and then another small additional thing I'll add on is that some owners also worry if it's going to harm their relationship with their dog at some point because you are adding a lot more discipline and structure. But the good thing about the e-collar is that he doesn't know that it's you correcting him. Yeah, because he's just feeling the stimulation. He's not seeing you do anything. He's not associating
Right.
anything with you. So um, you're never having to like confront him directly in those scenarios. So there's not really any harm in the relationship because he's not knowing who's doing it. He's just learning that he just has to follow through with the commands.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually really worried a long time because for a while when he was younger and we were trying him at home, we would keep his prong collar on in the house sometimes when he was acting up, and like there would be like a little or a really thin leash,
Yeah.
and I would when he was misbehaving, I would yank it, but he would like know it's me, so I would feel bad because I'd start to walk towards him and he'd run away, and I was like, no, he's so this to me, and I would get so sad. So
Yeah.
I stopped because I didn't want him to like associate that with me.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, in a sense, it's good that he's like understanding that you can apply discipline to him, but with the e-collar, since we're putting him under pressure, we're making him do stuff he doesn't want to do sometimes. It's also on the other side a benefit because you don't have to worry that he's associating any of this with you. You're
Right.
able to make it happen with the e-collar, kind of no matter what, and any kind of like negative energy he's having is just towards nothing. So
Yeah.
like he's not directing it at you because they with the prong collar, he's seeing that physical attachment because to a dog when they see the leash from your hand to their collar, they're thinking the leash is a part of you as well. So like you're
Right.
addressing him directly. But with this, no leash, no contact. It's just kind of like Jesse and Enrique kind of like to say they think it's just like the universe or something, like something's just happening.
Hmm.
But yeah, you don't have to worry about that. We've never had any issues where the dog is like turning against the owner or anything like that. Um,
Okay.
just because they just have no idea that it has anything to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's really like he catches
Hmm.
everything. So it's a big worry of mine for a while.
Yeah. At most, the only thing is kind of how I mentioned earlier, where once he gets the collar on, he's going to be like, oh, okay, I know the drill. We're going to do heel or we're
Right.
going to walk or something. That's at most. But even still, it shouldn't, the e collar will never create any issues that aren't already there.
Yeah.
So if the dog's an anxious dog, the e collar is just like kind of pushing that out of them. It's not making that happen. Same thing for like an aggressive dog. Like it's not creating the aggression. The dog was already aggressive. Uh,
Right.
but for Benson, it doesn't seem like any of that stuff is going to be a worry. So, we may see some, but like resistance because nobody likes discipline. So as soon as we start adding more structure and discipline, he's gonna be like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But as we work him through it, as we work him through it, they'll start to understand like, oh, if I just go with the command, I go with the pressure, it all turns off. There's no e-collar. And ideally, if we're staying consistent with the commands and everything, like our dogs here, our personal dogs, it is, as trainers, we only have to use the e-collar we only have to press the button maybe once or twice a month. We still put it on them outside for safety, but we're consistent with our dogs and they know the drill already. So they're going to follow through with the commands because they're like, I know how to avoid the e-collar completely. I'll just follow through with the command.
Yeah.
So the goal is just for Benson to go along with all the commands in as little taps as possible. At the start, it's obviously going to be some working through it and everything just because he's learning everything. But ideally, he should just be following through, and over time, he should be laying off the e-collar.
Nice.
Yeah. So any other questions with that?
No.
Okay, great. So for the programs, in person is always going to be the kind of like highest level because we're showing you directly everything to do with Benson, and we don't touch the dog during in person. We just coach you through it. So you're kind of getting the first hand experience with everything. So that's always going to be the top level. But for a dog like Benson, where
that's what I was that's what we were doing. Doing everything.
Yeah. So that's always, going to be the highest end option. And that's what we kind of always recommend with dogs who have more of the behavioral issues like aggression or anxiety. But that being said, for a dog like Benson, where it's a lot more obedience based, we can go ahead and do something like a daycare and train or board and train where those issues for obedience can be addressed. And then the rest, like such as the barking in home or, maybe targeting more of the jumping stuff can be worked on with the follow-up lessons.
Okay.
For the board and train and daycare and train, we have the way it's broken down is the board and train is 1, 2, 3, and 4 weeks. 4-week being going for the like off leash, complete like reliability and everything like that. Not to say we'll get the dog to that perfect area within 4 weeks, but we'll kind of go over everything with you and work them through a lot of other different scenarios with the long leash, in the playpen, out in the park with the long leash, through those 4 weeks. And then as the weeks kind of go down, so if you do like the 1 week program, the 2 week program, 3 week program, we're still teaching the dog the same thing. We're just not necessarily taking it as far. So I would definitely recommend, you can do 1 week, but I would recommend at least 2 weeks, just because with 2 weeks, we have time to really proof all the commands. And the same thing goes with the daycare and train. So the way that that's broken down is the 5, 10, 15, and 20 days. So it's similar in the way that the board and train is just going to happen like all at once. So that's why it's broken up into weeks. But the daycare and train is just based on when you bring him here for daycare, and then we get our training sessions in with him, with everybody else here as well. And then, so it's broken down the same way. So 5 days would be the equivalent to 1 week. 10 days would be equivalent to 2 weeks, and then so on and so forth, 15, 3, and then 24. The perks of the daycare and train program, kind of like you're saying, you're able to take him to daycare, he gets his training, comes back home at the end of the day. There's just a little bit less time with all the trainers. So for the board and train, we're able to work with him all day and then at night before he goes to bed as well. With
Mm-hmm.
Daycare and Train, it's mainly just going to be everybody in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say he still won't get his training, but just be aware of the scheduling with that.
Yeah.
And then for the 2 weeks or 10 days, which is kind of like the minimum I would do, especially for a larger dog with him.
Yeah.
The first week, you'll get a video with all the commands, us doing them with him for the first time, seeing how he's reacting to everything, seeing how we're working him through it, and then kind of getting the results by the end of the little video clip for that specific command. And then, and we coach like you through everything through the video. So like you'll receive the video. We're explaining everything as far as like, this is what we're doing here. This is why I'm doing this. Here, he's having this issue, so I'm working him through it like this. So it's very thorough. And then same thing for the board and train. You'll still get like your week 1 video where they're first going through all the commands with the short leash. And
Okay.
then if you're doing the 2-week, then you get all the commands with the long.
Now. Okay, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're doing all the commands with the long leash now. So he's getting the added challenge of now you have to hold the down command while I'm all the way over here, maybe across the room or something. And with the heel, he's starting to see, I don't have to have a leash in my left hand here, but you still have to follow through with heel. So it's working towards a little bit more with the off leash stuff. And then you get, I think, 4 hours of follow up for whether you do the daycare and train for 2 weeks or the board and train for 2 weeks. So you can use those hours however you like. You can schedule like 1 hour follow up, like when you come to pick them up after you get your first video or something. You can schedule one when the program's completely over, because maybe you want to try everything with the videos on your own first and then come back to us saying, oh, I'm having difficulties here. Can we work on this for an hour?
Mm-hmm.
And then how I mentioned earlier, you can use some of that time for like an in-home session, saying like, the barking's not getting better in the home. I'd like to work on this here. And then we have some clients who will just save however many hours they have left after they feel like they've addressed everything, just for maybe sometime in the future, something happens and you're like, okay, I don't know how to handle this. Then you can schedule that hour whenever you need it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then same thing, if you were to go into like the three week program or 4 week or like 15 day and 20 day, you just get more hours for the follow-up. So it goes like 2, 4, 6, and then 8 for like the 4 week, 20 day.
Got it.
That's how that kind of works out. But yeah, for him, I would recommend at minimum, probably the 2 week.
Mm-hmm.
And because he's larger and we would want to kind of make sure the commands are pretty nice. And 2 weeks is kind of the golden spot for addressing everything with obedience and starting off on the good foot. If you wanted to do 3 weeks too, that would be fine as well, because with the 3rd week video or the 15-day video, we're still doing long leash, but we're just doing it in the playpen. So he has all the distractions of the dogs and everything like that, but he still has to follow through with all the commands.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably the 15.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So that would be like the equivalent of like the 3 weeks. So you get 3 videos, his starting short leash videos, his long leash video for the second one, and then the third one, long leash in the playpen. So just really kind of stressing the commands, seeing if he's going to follow through, even though there's all these opportunities to play, other dogs distracting him. And then we'll show you how we kind of go through that as well. And then you'll also get 6 hours of follow-up.
Follow-ups. Okay.
However you would like.
Great.
Yeah. Any questions about the program stuff so far?
No, that all sounds good. That
Okay.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would definitely prefer the day. I've never like
Mm-hmm.
slept without him. Like we don't sleep, and that's another thing. Like I don't allow him in my bed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't allow him on the couch. We used to allow him on the couch when he was like a puppy, but we like about 3 months ago when he was like 6 months, we stopped that. just because like I noticed like he was kind of getting like cocky with like his behavior, like he was kind of thinking he was like king of the house. And our couch like just got hair all over it and stuff like that. So we haven't let him on the couch since then, but I would love to get to a point where I don't have to have that fence in between the couch and his area. I would love to just have nothing and he stays on his bed.
Yeah.
So that would definitely, maybe that's something we could also do in day training, and that would be great.
Yeah, that can actually be, so that's one of the commands that we would work on with him actually is the place
Cool.
command. I don't know if you're already familiar with it.
We did a little bit with my other trainer, but he wasn't really very responsive to it because again, anytime he got off, I would have to run and get his collar. And so it was like not, the timing wasn't really possible for me to like get him to associate it.
Yeah, and then the whole time that he's walking around, it's just adding more confusion for him. Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. We do the place command. We just do it with the e-collar. So then
Makes
now
sense.
you have the ability to reinforce while you're still just sitting on the couch.
Right.
Starting out, we'll kind of go over it in the videos, and then if needed in the follow-up as well. We have a whole process of like, you want to start out like kind of reinforcing it how you're saying, like with the other trainer, where you're going to have the short leash just to make sure there's no confusion, and you'll have him near you. And then as he starts to get more practice with it, and he'll be getting practice here as well with the 3-week or 15-day program, it should be to where you just say place, he goes to his bed, he stays on his bed until you go over and give him the release command. That would be the goal for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
For the wording and training, like, so you guys like I would use the same words you use, right? Or like, do you guys use different words that like owners want you? I don't know. I don't have any like specific words really other than, so when we would free, like the only thing we would really use is free. And if that was like, but he doesn't really still even understand that. I'm sure he could hear another word and he would be fine.
Yeah. We do have like a specific set of words that we use, not to say any other word can't be used, because really all the words are just a label for the behavior. So
Okay.
if we've had some owners who, like you said, like to use the word free instead of break, or some words, or some owners will use the word like okay instead of break. So
right. Or maybe like different languages. I don't, yeah.
Yeah, so whatever's going to work for you, just keep in mind that we will be using a specific set of words from here. So if you're trying to change that up, there may be a little kind of period of time where the transferring needs to happen. So you may have a little bit of difficulties there. If you're just changing up the break command, that's not too much of an issue, like, because we're not reinforcing that with the e-collar. That just means like you're good to go, kind of. So
yeah,
you can switch that out, like, if you like. It's not a huge deal. We use the word break, but if you want to use the word free, you could just go ahead and do that. It's not
okay.
affect the training at all.
Okay.
And then the only commands where it might be a little weird is if you're doing like kind of rewording all the like basic commands that we'll go over, like place, heel, down, sit, stay, all that stuff. But that being said, it's not like you can't. Just for those commands, it might be a small period of you kind of working.
Confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's completely up to you. It's not going.
We pretty much use all the same ones. We use sit, down, and down means like lay, kind of for us. Okay, yeah. And then we sit down. We were using free, but that doesn't. And then he doesn't. Honestly, the only ones he really knows is sitting down.
Yeah. Yeah. So we use the same ones for that then, and just heel, place, and then our recall will be like his name and then the word come after it. So like Benson come.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You can switch that up if you want to. That's just what we do here. But those are all the commands we go over, really. Anything else is just like addressing the behavior stuff, which would probably be a little bit more in the follow-up, unless we see anything here. Like if he's very perky here, that's something that we can work on addressing like while he's here.
Right.
But if it's barking at home, you can try and address it as best you can with the e-collar. And then again, if you're needing that extra assistance, you can always schedule a follow-up to where we can spend some time going over it with you at the home and seeing how he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the collar that I would recommend is probably the 2300 for now, unless we end up getting any black editions soon. So I think it's the 2300 NCP.
2300 EP.
Yeah. And you can get that through Dogtra, Amazon, or you can get it here because we are a official Dogtra retailer, so we can get it set up through here as well. So like, let's say you bring him for his first day, his collar's already here, and we just set him up with it and then send it home with you.
Nice. Okay.
So we can do that. And then if we end up figuring out any more black editions and that ends up being something that he needs, we can also work with that. And then if needed, like let's say you already purchased the 2300 and we're going to switch them over to a black edition, then we would just switch it out and then just have you pay the difference is all.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
But we can see how that goes. But I think 2300 for now, especially since it doesn't seem like his issues are too intense or anything. So we may just be able to fix everything with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said you wanted to do the 15-day daycare program.
Yeah. What are I don't think I saw packages for that type. I only saw packages for the in-person sessions.
Okay.
Like,
those should be on the website. They're part of like the day train. So
okay. I see.
They're separate from the daycare and they're separate from like the board and train and in-person training.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, it might be under it might be labeled day train. I would have to look at the website again.
I'll look.
Yeah, but we can get you set up with that. And then I think you'll either be getting an email from Tina, who is Enrique's assistant, or from Elizabeth because she handles all the daycare and board and train dogs.
Yep.
So whichever one, I'm not sure who you'll get an email from first. Likely, it'll probably be Tina, but then she'll forward you to Elizabeth, and then everything will get taken care of either way.
Okay.
But were there any other questions or any other concerns that you wanted to go over still, or?
No, I think that was really my biggest thing. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I love when we get the larger breeds and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's really sweet, like super goofy, sassy, but yeah, he's just such a baby still.
Yeah, that's cool. And you said he was 9 months?
Yes, he'll be 10 months on the 19th.
Okay. And then how much does he weigh?
He's about like 60, no, he's probably like 65 right now.
Okay. All right. Okay, then yeah, I have all this written down. And then like I said, you should be getting an email pretty shortly to get you started with everything. So keep an eye out for that. And then I will let whoever's emailing you know about everything kind of going on with him, what you're looking for as far as the 15-day program, the e-collar and everything like that. And then we can get that all set up and ready to go as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, well, if that's everything, then have a nice day. And I'm excited to see when Benson comes in here.
Thanks so much, Elias. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, you as well. Bye.
Thanks.